So we have the biggest earnings ever for SoFi stock. And no, I'm not being dramatic or anything else like that. But when management promises the next quarter we will be profitable and that quarter arrives, that is the biggest earnings report up to that date in the history of that company. Let's talk about what actually matters on this earnings call and of course what my plan is for SoFi stock. But I gotta be honest, there's a massive warning with all of this that you absolutely have to understand, or else just this whole thing can blow up in your face, and I don't want that to happen at all. So make sure you stick around for that too. And of course, make sure you like the video if you like getting the truth without the hype. And if you want to retire early or be financially free or do both, make sure you check out the pinned comment down there for my new channel. That's all we talk about over there, so make sure you check it out if you want content like that. Who knows, maybe SoFi can even help you achieve that financial freedom journey, but you won't know unless you're checking out the content over there. So there are only 3 things that really matter on this earnings call, guys. I understand what you guys are thinking. Everything matters on an earnings call. I would agree, but these are the 3 big majors that are going to influence the stock price, which is kind of what we're discussing today here. Basically, this earnings right here will kind of determine how 2024 is going to go for SoFi. So we got to talk about that. And then of course, we'll get to what my plan is. And of course, how Wall Street is planning on screwing you in the end. We'll talk about that too. So the first thing that matters is, do they turn profitable? I got it, guys. I know it's the easy one, but it absolutely matters. I agree. They have executed perfectly for 8 or 9 quarters straight. We have no reason to doubt it. I have no doubts at all whatsoever about it, but it has to happen. And so it absolutely matters on this earnings call. Everything could be incredible, but if they don't turn that profitability knob like they promised last quarter, they're going to get destroyed. Again, I have no doubts. For the last 8 or 9 earnings calls, they basically beat and then raise guidance and then beat again and then raise guidance and beat again. And it's kind of been that way almost every single quarter now for over 2 years. So I have no reason to think otherwise, but you can't set the target right here, be on point, on point, on point, on point, and then miss it whenever the time comes for the biggie, the big announcement, the big enchilada, the big dog, whatever the heck you want to say there, it doesn't matter. You got to hit that one or else all the rest of that work doesn't really matter all that much in the eyes of Wall Street. Number 2, what is the impact of student loans? Now I got it. They are way beyond. Matter of fact, that's one of the reasons that got me bullish on SoFi was their dramatic turnaround from basically just a student loan servicer into the behemoth that it is now. An incredible turnaround. But boy, this right here will be kind of the first full quarter to where all of a sudden they're able to do a lot of the refinancing. Where student loans just matter is kind of where I need to go with this and kind of the point I'm trying to make. So what is that impact? Not only now this quarter, which we're expecting some, but what is the impact and what is the guidance going to be for student loans in 2024? Wall Street understands, and they're looking for a pretty good number there. Not like, oh my gosh, it's 50% of the business or anything ridiculous like that. But they are looking for significant growth in that segment, given that everything, I still can't keep up with all the student loan mess. I just know that they are now able to start executing on that side of the business a lot more. And so Wall Street's definitely looking at not only what happened this past quarter, this first full quarter, but what are they going to guide out for the rest of the year there? And that's obviously going to help determine things like valuation, obviously growth rates, some other things like that are all going to be impacted by what they say. So it's absolutely imperative here with this. I know they're far more than a student loan company, but that reputation is still there. And so therefore investors and obviously analysts and people like that are going to be looking for something in that realm, considering that's kind of how they got their start in the first place. That's why that one matters a little bit more than a lot of the other growth that they may see in other segments. So on to the last thing that matters, and it's the biggest one. We can't look over this one in terms of stock price for the next year. This one right here is going to be the one that determines the stock price that we get with SoFi stock moving forward. So this one right here is kind of key to that number. And that is, what will be the new EPS guidance moving forward? Fair or not, that is how Wall Street thinks. You can do all these great things. You can have all these great products coming out, all this great future laid out ahead of time. And in the end, especially once you turn profitable, Wall Street wants to see profits. Big investors want to see profits. And so that guidance on that EPS number is going to be massive moving forward because they want to see how much profit are you going to be able to show over the next year. And if you don't have a really, really high number, what are you going to put that money towards in order to really accelerate that growth? They want to see, can this management team that's executed virtually flawlessly from here to here, okay, now you're playing in a different ball game. Now you're playing in a different world. Can you go from here up to that next level there? And that's profitability. Can you balance that? Can you balance putting money into the business along with giving investors enough profit to continue to see the stock price move up and to continue to see that valuation continue to move up as well? That's what they're looking for. That's what they're listening for in that guidance. So that, to me, in terms of determining the stock price over the course of 2024, is the biggest factor that's going to move the stock over the next year. Of course, executing to it and all those sort of things like that have to happen as well. But in terms of giving us kind of a guideline on how this is going to go and where we can expect the stock price at and where we can extrapolate that stock price to over the course of the next year, that's absolutely critical. This number is going to be the big dog, the number one that everybody's looking for. But of course, Wall Street may have other plans in mind, regardless of what the guidance is, regardless of what the numbers say. They may have something else in mind here. So let's talk about that big warning next. And then obviously my plan to deal with all of it, regardless of what happens there. So this warning right now that we're about to talk about has been from the start. When I first looked at it, my biggest concern with SOFI stock, not execution, not anything else. My biggest concern with SOFI stock is this warning right here, because it's time for us to see exactly what Wall Street's going to do. And this is my biggest concern right here. Does Wall Street treat SOFI more like a bank in terms of multiple and less like fintech in terms of multiple? Now, don't yell at me. That's Wall Street. And unfortunately, Wall Street sets the rules. And if they determine in their minds that SOFI is just like a bank, they're going to assign a growth multiple that reflects more of a traditional bank than it will of fintech, and that will significantly change the valuation of the stock. Now, if we get a total fintech multiple, wow, there's a lot of room upside to SOFI stock, and that right there is what I'm sure a lot of those bullish cases are built on. Now, for me personally, you guys know I tend to be more conservative. I'm just not into the hype stuff. I'm not into best case scenario and everything. It's great if I get it, but I want that to be a bonus. So for me, I think we get kind of a hybrid. I don't think they take it all the way down to a bank multiple, even a bank growth multiple. But I also don't think they take us all the way up to a fintech multiple here. I think we get somewhere in the middle there, which that's kind of what I've been mentally preparing for since I started buying the stock. That's where I think Wall Street's going to peg it. But again, Wall Street controls that. Not me, not you, not Nato, not the management team. Nobody controls that except for Wall Street. And if we don't like that, that's okay. But then don't invest in stocks, because unfortunately, that's the truth of the matter, is Wall Street determines where that is in the end. Large institutional investors decide how much they're going to pay for a stock in terms of the multiple. And so we're kind of stuck with whatever the heck they choose to do. And there's no clear way to delineate which way they could go. So you must be prepared, which leads me perfectly into my final point, which is, what is my plan with SOFI stock? Well, as you guys know, I have been buying the stock for a very, very long time. I was even buying it just before the rally there at the end of the year, because Wall Street just wanted to continue to give us gifts in this stock. And even after the big run up here, they've kind of beaten it back down. So I know a lot of you guys have been buying the stock up during this latest little downturn. So you kind of got a chance to load up for more prior to this earnings call. And you guys know I also don't like to play around earnings and trade around earnings or do any of those other earnings games like that. Stock's never more wildly beaten down like that. So when they turn profitable like we think they are, it is possible that it absolutely goes on a run, but I'm not going to FOMO in, and I don't care what it is. And here's the reason why. I'm going to get a chance with this earnings call after I listen to the call to see exactly what is going on with SOFI, and more importantly, exactly what multiple I'm going to be able to assign based upon that EPS guidance and some other things like that. So it's going to give us an actual numeric look, not speculative look, but an actual numeric look on what actually fair value should be for this stock. So it may mean I may be adjusting my price target, and obviously if it's below my new price target, I'm obviously going to be buying the stock at that stage, and I can justify it with actual numbers that the management team gave me for the next year. And of course, if those numbers aren't as robust, I'm going to know that the stock is going to fall regardless of what the hype run is, and I'll just be patient and wait my time and let other folks FOMO in and let people say, you know, oh my gosh, it's going to $30 a share this year and all the other ridiculous things that'll start coming out. I'll let other folks do that game and play it. But I'm all about taking that risk off the table, period. I don't want to play games like that. That's why I just build out my positions whenever stocks are cheap. I don't wait until we're just a few days away from profitability to kind of figure out whether or not I should start my position or not. We started a long time ago, and obviously we were getting incredible pricing, and we might get incredible pricing depending upon how this earnings goes again. But I don't like taking risk like that. For me, building out positions consistently, steadily, regardless of whether the price goes up, price goes down, a simple DCA takes all of this out of your hands so that way you don't have to worry about it. And then when this time frame comes, you can afford to just let it ride because you have all the shares that you want. And if you're looking to add more shares just because you think SoFi is a great stock, great, you're into bonus shares. So you can afford to be picky. You can afford to, wait and see how everything kind of shakes out, a few days, few weeks after earnings. So if the guidance is weak, but we still get a great run afterwards, you're going to know it's FOMO and you can just be patient and wait for that stock to fall back down because that's most likely what's going to happen. And if it happens to run on the opposite and the guidance is great and super strong, you don't have to worry about that FOMO feeling because you've already filled out your position. And if you want to add more shares, you can just add more shares because you know share count matters far more than your average. And if you built out your position ahead of time and you're just adding bonus shares, it's not really going to raise your average that much to buy some shares at some higher prices. So you don't have to worry about that either. Either way, I'm excited for SOFI. And if you guys want to see when I buy SOFI next, you want to see my price target for SOFI, you want to see my complete watch list with all the price targets for all the stocks I buy, you want to listen to earnings calls live with me and get real feedback in real time on what's actually going on, not some hype and some ridiculous, reaction video or whatever the case is. And you want to take 5 courses for free, use a stock analyzer tool for free, be a part of the best 6, 7, and 8-figure Discord out there, and so many other live things that we do in person on, obviously in our community, everywhere else. Make sure you check out the pinned comment down there and see if a membership's right for you. And click this video here if you want to see exactly what I'm buying in this market, and click here to see my exact plan for this market. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.